Now this is an interesting one. The new Hyundai IONIQ 6, sister car to the rather brilliant IONIQ 5, but this time with added slinkiness. Now the way it looks is all about efficiency apparently, and that is the big story with this car. But before I tell you if the IONIQ 6 can give Tesla a run for money when it comes to efficiency, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and switch those notifications on, because that's the efficient way of getting your electrifying fix. And that's what we're all about today. Okay, so first up, we can't get away from the fact that the IONIQ 6 looks like nothing that we've really seen from Hyundai before. And just in case you were wondering, it is definitely not a saloon. Might look like one, but it isn't. It's called a streamliner, and that's a fact that's caused loads of debate at Electrifying HQ. Some of us are not convinced by that term, but what we do all agree on is that it potentially represents something that's always been close to our hearts as electric car drivers, and that's efficiency, the ability to get the most range from the least amount of electric power. Now, a lot of that is down to how you drive and the hardware, the batteries, the motors, and of course the software that manages it. So we already know that Hyundai has some of the best bits in the business, and they are all used in the IONIQ 6, so that's good. But with the 6, instead of the blocky, more practical shape of the 5, we get a car that's designed to slice through the air as cleanly as possible. And this is the first thing you notice. It's a long, low car, nearly a foot longer than the IONIQ 5, but with the same width and a lot lower to the ground. Now, at the front, it's all about presenting the least aggressive phase possible. Apparently, it looks a bit depressed, according to one of the electrifying team. I will let you make your own mind up about that one. But what you do get is this low front, and a couple of moving flaps in the middle for battery cooling that only open when necessary. There's a real distinct lack of sticky out bits or vents, anything that might cause drag, whilst the sides of the car are slick and sculpted to help with airflow, and all that together helps with efficiency, of course. Sadly, we have conventional door mirrors on this prototype. There are some digital ones available with transparent casings, again, good for efficiency. And you know, whilst I joke a bit about the streamliner name, as you can see from where the top of the 6 lines up against me, and I'm not actually that tall, it does live up to its name. You know, just look at how long that roof line is, how low it is overall, and how steeply it drops as it reaches the rear of the car. And then there is the back. Now this has caused some conversation, but I do really like it. You know, the spoiler tidies up the air flowing from the back of the car, sloping rear, slips through the air most efficiently. Shades of the Porsche 911 have been mentioned. Again, you can be the judge. I'm not sure I do fall into that camp, but I do think that this is a good looking car. And I find it interesting that Hyundai has said it just doesn't want to make cars that all look the same. In my opinion, that is a great thing. You know, you can see the Hyundai-ish influences, that design language, as they like to say, but this has got a character all of its own. Question is, do you like the character? Those little cube details that look a bit like an old computer game, which Hyundai call parametric pixels, are becoming one of the brand's hallmarks. And I do really like the fact that the car puts on a brake light show for you whenever you use the brakes. But of course, what do you reckon now you've had a good look at it? As I said, I am a fan, as is Nikki Shields. Tom Ford is not. We know this one divides opinions, so do let us know what you think in the comments below. Here on the inside, I think the good news continues. This is a really nice interior. It's got a really different shape, of course, to the IONIQ 5, but it doesn't suffer for that. It's not dark or cramped, quite the opposite, in fact. Feels really nice and bright and light and airy. And I think where the interior on the 5 is for me, I don't know, just a bit too much. This has got more of a pared back, slightly elegant vibe about it. So what have you got? Well, you've got the screens up front, the left-hand side being the touch screen, and you've got the same handy controls on the steering wheel for physical buttons here. I've used this system a lot, and it's quick, it's intuitive, and it's clear. Instead of that flat floor and the feeling of open plan you get with the IONIQ 5, you've got this sort of central divider that runs between the two front seats. And I think it looks great. It's really practical as well. There's loads of storage in here. So should we have a roundup of that? Okay, so there's a nice little area for your phone, wireless charging here. Good sized cup holders here. A big bin underneath, handy for my handbag in there. Another one here down there with a couple of USB-C points in it. And I like the fact that actually the controls for the windows are just here. Really easy to get to when you're driving. I'm actually a bit sick of them being a bit too fiddly in the door of loads of cars. Seems to be a real trend now, and you've got to do complicated things to open the front or the back windows. This is just all really ergonomic and really well thought out in here. And the materials look nice as well. It's got a very nice refined feel. It's very premium in here. I mean, it still surprises me, I know it shouldn't, that you know, Hyundai are coming up with interiors that can rival those big German manufacturers in terms of look and feel and quality. It's really excellent. Right then, into the back, I've got my glamorous assistant for this one, Mike, who you know from the team. Mike, how tall are you?
I'm 6'5", Ginny.
And I'm 5'4". So we are proper consumer testing in the back here. Obviously it's really good for me, but I'm amazed. That's not bad headroom, is it?
It's good headroom, plenty of legroom. I could get really comfortable in here, perfect.
And it's surprising because it does have that really sloping roofline, but actually I think it sort of slopes off most just behind our shoulders, which is a great thing. The other thing I love is this. I can sit in the back, we can do our work, watch Netflix. Yeah, I can work more.
Great, that's what you need.
I need to get out more, don't I? There you go, you can have that.
Thank you.
Now, Hyundai was a little bit reticent about showing the boot when the car first appeared, so let's have a look what's going in here. Oh yeah, that's probably why there was the reticence. Yeah, this is where there is a compromise. I mean, if you take a look at it, it's just the fact that it's got this really awkward boot opening with this quite big load lip. The boot itself is actually really quite deep, and in fact on paper it's bigger than a standard hatchback, believe it or not, just under 400 litres. But I'm sure you will agree that it's just not the easiest to access. So, first impressions behind the wheel, and actually, full disclosure, I have driven this car already very briefly. That was last year in the US for World Car of the Year driving, which this car is one of the nominated vehicles. And my sort of first impressions then were that it actually was quite an engaging car to drive, but then I also did caveat that in my mind with the fact that I was on, you know, big American roads, I've been driving lots of big American cars. And I'm going to say my first impressions were absolutely correct, because having driven it now for a little while longer on UK roads, it is a really nice, engaging car to drive. In fact, I do have to say that I do quite like the way this drives. I guess I'm aware of the size. Yes, it does feel quite long, but compared to the IONIQ 5, and in fact quite a lot of other big electric cars, it feels more nimble, more precise, particularly through the steering. One thing though that I'm picking up straight away, and this is literally my first few minutes in the car, is it's not liking this road. So I'm quite close to Box Hill and I'm on not the best roads. It's really potholy. The ride feels quite hard to me. This is another car from Hyundai that doesn't feel like it's trying too hard. It isn't a sporty car at all, and you know what, it's not meant to be. The all-wheel drive dual motor version with 321 brake horsepower and a 0 to 62 time of a smidge over 5 seconds will be more sportier. This single motor version is sedate, more interested in being calm and composed, which I like. So let's talk about the brake regen, which of course is here on the paddles on the steering wheel, and if you watch a lot of my reviews you will know that good strong brake regeneration is something that I really like. I enjoy hardly using the brake pedal at all and just relying on the regeneration for most of my braking, apart from perhaps the final stop if I can. And yeah, this is up to Hyundai's usual standard. You can flip through the paddles, reducing it, increasing it, and you can get a really nice strong brake regen there, which I really like. Now, I'm not sure if this is my imagination or not, but I can kind of feel it slipping through the air. Maybe I've read loads of the marketing material. I think what I'm trying to say is there's not loads of wind noise in here. It's actually very quiet. And wind noise is something that you do really notice more in an electric car. It's a very nice, serene, composed feel in here. So let's talk about efficiency. There has been so much hype about this car and its shape and how efficient it's going to be. What am I actually getting? I'm going to caveat this by saying it's perhaps a slightly unfair test today. This is a prototype car. It's simply been driven by loads of people testing this on short blasts rather than on full cycles of the battery. It's also pretty cold at the moment, it's winter, but sadly a look down there tells me it's getting 2.8 miles per kilowatt hour. So let's do the maths on that one. On a full charge, this battery is getting around 210 miles in the real world. Okay, wow, wasn't expecting that actually. I was definitely expecting more. It's got a 74 kilowatt hour usable battery. It should be so much more than that. In fact, this single motor version has a claimed range of 382 miles, while the dual motor will apparently manage 338. As I said, we've got to properly test this once again, once we've got a production car, but certainly that early sign, I was not hoping to see a figure with a 2 in front of it down there. I was hoping to see more like the high 3s, but we will give it the benefit of the doubt for now. One thing I am going to go straight back though and contradict myself on is the ride quality. So now that we're off some of those pretty poor roads, it's actually a lot better. It feels a lot steadier, a lot smoother. I'm on a far better quality road now, and it does feel really quite nice and composed in here. It's a very nice place to be. Look, the driving's not going to set your world on fire, but it's also going to be a car that you will enjoy doing long distances in. That's what I reckon. All IONIQ 6s come with a 74 kilowatt hour usable battery. Now there is a smaller battery available, but Hyundai isn't sure whether it will bring it to the UK, as nobody tends to buy them, because our charging infrastructure needs to get a whole lot better to give consumers the confidence that they can charge reliably and don't need those big batteries. It's a big, awful, vicious circle. Anyway, rant over. Let's talk about charging. And as far as charging goes, it's all good news. Okay, so there is 11 kilowatt AC charging, but if you do find yourself on a big, ultra-rapid public charger, then you can use Hyundai's brilliant 800 volt charging system to get the most from the 233 kilowatt DC charging. One thing to note is that all IONIQ 6s in the UK come with a year's free Ionity subscription, which gives you preferential charging prices, worth a few quid if you do use Ionity, and worth it given the current price of public charging. So other stuff, well, all Hyundais come with a 5-year unlimited mileage warranty, which is good, but not as good as Kia's 7-year. They all get brilliant vehicle to load charging via that little adapter plug, which is really handy. Yes, you can have a tow bar, and there is a decent 1500 kilogram tow rating. A long-range rear-wheel drive 6 is just under £47,000, with the all-wheel drive version a bit more than that. Those first edition cars with all the kit did cost £55,000, but that first allocation is sold out anyway, so you can't get hold of one. Right then, conclusion time. So yes, I think the 6 is another really brilliant car from Korea. It's unique looking. Whether it appeals to you, well, that's another story, but I like it. It's got a sensible side to it. It's really well built, lovely interior, it's good to drive with excellent charging. It doesn't replace the IONIQ 5, it just offers something more saloony to sit alongside it. The only disappointment that I have from today is sadly the efficiency. We had really hoped, and I think indeed had kind of been led to believe that the streamliner design would make this one of the most efficient electric cars we've tested. We're going to have to wait until we've driven a full production version on a full battery cycle, perhaps not in the depths of winter. But from what we've seen today, First impressions are sadly, efficiency is not as great as we'd hoped for. Other than that, I do think it is a good all-round package, but we'll come back to you on that all-important efficiency question. Thanks for watching, and if you do want to compare it to the IONIQ 5, then don't forget that video is right here on our YouTube channel. And please don't forget to subscribe and switch those notifications on so we can tell you if the efficiency really is as disappointing as we fear.